let's say you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on this.
All right, we are live on Dapper Dino. This was not super well planned, but hey, we got an after show for a debate with Dan and Kent Hovind that just aired on Standing for Truth. So you're probably going to end up getting at least 3 hours of Dapper Dino content this Thursday, because I already did a 2-hour premiere. It's alright, it's fine. Alright, so everybody, first, Dan, the man of the hour, you're the one who was there. You tell us, how do you think it went? And then we'll go across in order.
So I think that went well. The reason being, Kent did not address anything that I said, and in fact several times said that something that I had described having been observed, he said that that thing could not happen. So I reminded him that we've observed it happening. And then there was a lot of goalpost moving. In fact, he called it out on himself in one instance, which was nice.
It was hilarious.
So I think it was good. I think I was able to show, like, even if you don't
the dodging on the damn
evolution,
membrane of the multicellularity was beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. What did everyone else think?
Well, I was gonna say, let's just go in order from top to bottom, left to right. Sorry, Erica.
Too intoxicated, and I don't know what the order looks like for the rest of you.
I had myself muted. I scoffed in dismay. Wait, does that mean I'm next or last? Dapper?
Well, according to
nobody scoffs better than you do, Erica.
Everyone, shh.
For me,
got the mic.
Well, for me, it's gonna go Corporal Anon, who might not have much to say, then me, then Deadly Dakota Raptor, then Covert Cuttlefish, then RJ, then TD Lane, then Erica, because you got the short straw. So.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
I am going to mute myself, though, so you guys don't hear my dogs.
You want my opinion?
No, I want to hear the dogs.
Yes.
When Nephilim Free is screeching, "Debate me, you pussy fart," you have won the debate.
Hey, yeah, this is a PG-13 stream.
I'm sorry, but, like, come on.
Hey, cats can fart too.
There,
There it is.
When
There
you've
it
got that
is.
kind of thing happening, when Nephilim Free is having a meltdown in the side chat, you have won the debate because he is pissed.
Yeah.
If he wasn't wrong, he would have no reason to be angry.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we have a $2 super chat from TD Lane. TD Lane, why don't you just read it for us?
I had no idea Dapper Dino was going to stream.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is kind of
What a coincidence. Nobody did.
Yeah, well, so I had a thumbnail set up, and because we were like, maybe we'll do it tomorrow, or maybe we'll do it on Dan's channel or whatever. And then we all get into this Zoom call, and it's like, oh no, we're just going to do it now. Like, okay, sure. So what I thought was, one, I thought that it was... I'm always amazed by the degree to which Kent Hovind can focus on absolute irrelevancies. Like, oh, let's give some fictionalized biography of Charles Darwin for no reason, because he's relevant for some reason. Because I think he thinks of Charles Darwin as the Jesus of evolution. Jesus is the central figure. He's at least allegedly the source of all the teachings of Christianity, and his word is not to be challenged, supposing that you've interpreted it correctly. Okay. And he thinks that Charles Darwin is like that for evolution, which is not even close to true. He's just the first guy who kind of got some stuff right about it. And he's not even really that, because faunal succession was known well before Darwin. So he's just a guy who came up with one of the most important mechanisms that helped explain faunal.
So that means nothing.
Well, yeah. So that always amazes me, and I don't know why. I should be used to it by now. But the other thing that I loved was that at least 3 times, you told Kent about an observed instance of multicellularity, and he just said it hadn't been observed. He didn't try to address it. He didn't try to, like, find out why it wasn't multicellularity. He was just like, nope, hasn't been done. It's like, this is the paper. These are the photographs. This is a diagram of it. We have the genome. And actually, I think there was only one thing that I would say in that regard that you should have done a little bit better, which is to point out that because we have somatic cells and germ cells, those are tissue types.
So they're not technically somatic and germ cells. It's just they kind of divvy up duties within the organism, but they're technically not germline cells.
Well, are they
It's the beginning.
expressing slightly different phenotypes at all?
It's
Reproductively, yes, but otherwise generally not.
Okay, so it's a little iffy then, I guess.
Technically,
It's
yes,
iffy.
but technically knows that
It's iffy.
causes the distinction.
I don't think it rises to the level of tissue because they're not working as like a concerted unit, like say ovaries, right?
Like an organ?
But there are cells that
Well,
they
I would-
differentiate functions without that, but it's the cells kind of doing like the function.
I would counter
Um,
with sponges, because sponges have tissue types but no organs. They just have a bunch of various tissue types just kind of
okay, all right.
spread in a
I'm
web.
Like
also gonna
Neffy's
say-
brain.
I
I'm
will
also going to
just
say,
to
if
dapper.
any
Hang
of you
on
want
one
to
second,
send
Colton.
this to the creationists, you can send it to them. I'll
I-
give you a link if you want to.
Okay, so just one second. The sponges point is really good because I will say that I can't speak specifically to those multicellular examples, but there are examples that have at least the level of differentiation of sponges, if not the diversity.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I also real quick want to get two super chats in. We got Mothra J Disco, who if this were Kent with Bent, it would be a drink trigger for him super chatting, by the way. Dan literally got him pissed, aka sign he won. Yeah, it's true. You could see that Ken Hovind was visibly annoyed in that debate. He was not happy with how that went.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, damage 262 for 262, and these have all been US, by the way. My wife is in the hospital, yet I can't stay away. Well, thank you very much
We hope your
for.
wife is doing okay.
So, if I remember correctly, damage 262 frequently super chats things about horrible crises on which he should be spending his money, but instead he's super
got it.
chatting.
Okay, see, I was taking that seriously. Sorry.
Now, if on the off chance that is actually the case, then I hope your wife is okay. But all right.
Next.
Deadly Dakota Raptor, and then I'm gonna quickly go into the other room and turn my AC and fan on because it's ridiculously hot. Go ahead.
Like the more I watch you, Dan, the more I end up respecting you, despite having watched you for literally the last 3 years on Reddit. Like,
And
Damn.
please, to anyone who has contact with the creationists, send them a link to this after show. I'm tired of LPP. Get them in here for once.
and that's actually something else that early on in the stream I called out Standing for not updating you when your slides literally weren't displaying on a screen. That is literally Standing's only job. Well, he has two jobs in that, but he has two jobs in that, and one of them is make sure the screens get displayed. He called me out by like multiple people called me out for because I misspelled the words and Standing literally said, "Cry me a river." My excuse is at that point I was 5 drinks in. What the fuck is Standing's? What is Standing's excuse? Because that was his job to moderate and make sure that people's screens were popping up on time.
I will say that I've used StreamYard.
I'm
lot.
sorry for ruining Dapper's
Technically,
one
you haven't.
F-bomb per
Yeah,
episode.
that's the thing. No one else can now.
Yeah, I'm
And-
sorry for
and
that.
Standing lies.
Technically, I will
I'm
say I've
convinced
used
at this point he's
StreamYard a
lies.
lot, and I've never had that problem before.
So
Like,
it wasn't
I
just StreamYard. So it was a combination of
us have
StreamYard
either.
and whatever broadcasting software they were using.
Yeah.
So
That is,
Yeah.
and Standing said, "quote Cry me a river." I don't care if somebody else is doing the work behind the scenes. He is the one managing the channel. He is the one who is posting. It is his video. Like right now, anything I say is ultimately Dapper's responsibility, unfortunately.
yeah.
But at Standing post, it's on his channel. Everything Standing has going on is his responsibility. The buck stops at him. Fucking. Oh, damn it. Sorry, Dapper.
Second one.
Cry
Bad
me a river.
dog. Bad dog.
Now I'm gonna have to go in and mute sections of the stream and post. I probably won't.
Yeah. I'm
Need a
very
tape delay.
sorry about that.
Sorry, Dan.
But
You
unlike
need a
that,
tape delay.
yeah,
So-
tape delay. I'm very sorry.
So here's
I'm a little emotional.
here's the thing with that. It's that so I get that you're not the one producing Standing. This is to you if you decide to watch this, which there's a chance of. Okay, so I'll just go third person, whatever. So Standing is he's not producing, right? Praise I Am That I Am is producing. However, that means Praise I Am That I Am is an incompetent producer, first of all. Because having that kind of mistake happen repeatedly while not noticing is completely unacceptable. He needs to have a window up where he can see what's going on right now. I always have such a window up. I can see right now exactly what is going out to the stream. And if I screw it up, I will notice in less than a second. The other thing is, Standing should also have the view link open. Now, he's not going to be able to see it as fast because he doesn't have whatever stream software that Praise I Am That I Am is using, right? Fair enough. That's fair. However, the fact that over a minute went by without him noticing means that he either wasn't watching the link or he just didn't have it.
Right.
Yeah, 4 minutes. Those are both signs of absolute incompetency at best and outright sabotage at worst. And I don't want to go as far as sabotage, but it's not a good look.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. At the very least, it looks horrible.
Yeah. Oh, an actual PhD doctor versus whatever Kent is for $1.99 from Vandalia 1998.
Yeah, if I can make a point, as Atheist Jr. says in the chat, the Q&A section was just them reading irrelevant super chats, a few questions for Dan, and nothing from the chat, even though we know Praise had questions from me.
Correct.
And better yet... Yeah, TD, you were the first questions on the chat at all. Yes, and as soon as the stream started, you posted 2 very pertinent questions.
Yeah.
Well,
and better than that, because the issue of the slides came up again, and Standing said he could see Dan changing the slides.
Yeah,
which was a lie. You couldn't see the slides being changed.
Hold on, yeah.
Let's keep it to the debate instead of how. Let's keep it to the debate instead of how the guys who are running the debate did, because that's their problem. We don't need to complain about that all day long. There's enough material to talk about without going into all that. As far as the debate goes, I thought now we've definitely got proof that Kent Hovind does not listen to his interlocutor.
Oh,
because he brought up single-cellular to multicellular obligatory organisms quite a few times and how it does not exist after Dan brought it up.
Yeah.
Like it was done right there.
It took Dan pointing it out.
It was not macroevolution. Dan showed it was. He showed the paper. End of story. Yeah. And that's all I really have to say.
And it's stuff he would probably have been unaware of from siphoning creationist literature, because he's way too far down the food chain to have spotted any of the discussion of that Matt Herron stuff. By the way, Matt Herron has a web page. He does postings in that as well. So follow him. He was a guest on my Evolution Hour last year.
I will say on that particular paper did cause a bit of a stir in creationist circles. Jay Weil did a post on it when it landed. Basically saying
they didn't like that at all. I don't think I like the vulvacines in general, do they?
No, it was he was arguing, but he was wrong. He was arguing that they aggregate. But those multicellular structures were actually clonally formed initially from a single cell. So he was just straight up misrepresenting what that paper showed. He was claiming it was
Jason
aggregation.
Weil misrepresenting something? So, I'm shocked to hear that.
By the way, I want to point out that anything you put in the group chat will show up on stream. So unless you're okay with it going live, don't put it in this.
I'm glad you backed up really. And showed
the side chat or in the group chat?
I'm sorry, the group chat.
The screen that you were locked on, because those images were way too useful not to show.
Yeah.
Dapper, are you streaming our Twitter group chat?
No, not the Twitter group chat. This chat here.
Okay. The Zoom chat.
No.
The Zoom chat.
Yeah.
The Zoom.
That's fine. No, I mean everything I say in the Twitter.
Looks like someone else should have the watch link up, huh?
I didn't do anything. I've never watched it. Wasn't me.
So by the way, we should at some point post into this, like into some of my videos or
and again,
this
I'm
one.
telling you,
the
give
Kent
the
Hovind bingo card.
This, like, email Standing a link to this, please. Like, if you need me to give you guys a link, please do.
Yeah. I just think we should
go drop it in LPP's chat.
The audience might not know, but between all of us, we have a Kent Hovind debate bingo card system. And so when we watch it, we like to go and I think this time TD Lane got the first bingo, and then I got one, and then TD Lane got like 2 more.
I don't think he hit water at all.
Oh, I hit water. He said it almost immediately. It was in his opening. Yeah, he said that Charles Darwin sailed across the water.
Yeah.
Oh, and
it was stunning how quick that bingo card first got filled. We
have for €5, and I'll get it right this time, from Zach Brannigan. Because last time I got it wrong, and I put a P in there. From Zach
Zach
Brannigan.
Brannigan.
Isn't Kent not listening his MO? That and ancient arguments.
Yeah.
Kent has proven his dishonesty over and over again. And I mean, that's obviously true because, for one thing, he always goes into irrelevancies, and, I mean, his responses rarely have anything to do. But I think the 3 times ignoring the multicellularity of that developed in those algae that we were able to actually observe real time in the human lifespan.
I just want to say,
And then Neff tried to do the same thing, not once,
lifespan.
twice, 3 different questions, all hammering away on the same wrong point.
I might drop out of the stream first because this whole 5th of whiskey, I've gone through 4/5 of it. So I might have to
Colton,
drop.
okay, 2 things, Corp. 1,
Just
go to bed.
Just to be
2,
calm.
okay, 1, go to bed. 2, drink better whiskey.
Yes. Oh, and 3, before you leave, transfer hosting.
Well, here's the thing. I'm thinking about just dropping like my camera and my voice and just letting the call go because I want to stay involved in this if I need to because I don't feel that bad.
All right.
But you know what? I'm gonna leave my camera on. I'm just not gonna. Go ahead.
Who's next in the
All right. So RJ, do you think that you said your bit there, or did you have more that you wanted to say real quick?
Other the big thumbs up on the thing, the structure of it. I'd always wanted more fossil material, but actually I like the fact that you took a different tack.
Yeah.
Because that meant that all of the arguments that he would be wanting to trot out on the fossil record didn't arise. The main thing that came up beautifully was the systematic issue. And he, as usual, knows diddly about that. So he was forced in to apply the model he doesn't have. And you were trying to entice him. How far out onto the gangplank can you go? And you could just kind of see him pulling back to go back to his little mantra stuff. But the thing that really blew me away is how when Kent finally started up his spiel, he goes out of his way to say, well, if my opponent is going to talk about so-and-so, he's not going to say this, he's not going to be able to offer this, when he had just done that. That was the part where he was the most disjointed response that I've ever heard from a Kent Hovind debate.
I was mostly stunned at how he just outright denied that there was any new trait when the algal cells had developed a new genetic system for creating an extracellular matrix.
See, all of these things get into a problem at the actual higher level creationist world, the Jensen level, the Tompkins level. They have to kind of grapple with these detail points, but Kent, way down in bottom feeder land, has nothing to go on.
Exactly, RJ. This is the kind of stuff that people like Kurt Wise will say, oh, well, this is why scientists believe in evolution, but if we have enough faith, young Earth creationism will too. And just next to no young Earth creationist gets to Kurt Wise's level and actually understands why scientists believe what they do.
For those unaware, dear Kurt Wise, he actually has a paleontology degree.
From
he
Harvard.
Actually writes
Under Stephen J.
studied under
Gould.
Stephen J. Gould. He's an amiable fellow and in his own way very meticulous.
We've tried to get him. We have emailed him specifically trying to get him to come on stream with at least me.
I don't think he's ever gone on any video at all. He doesn't really do
debates.
That's
fine if he doesn't want to. That's fine.
He does lectures and he's been recorded doing lectures, but beyond that, he's quite quiet on it, and it would be really quite an important coup if ever he would try to defend stuff. Anyway, back to Dan. Your choice of graphics, did you have any stuff that you almost put into the thing, or did you basically get the kind of images that you really wanted to have as your heavy guns?
We went through in the prep, we went through all that stuff, and I removed, for time, I removed a couple things, and I really, because I had done the myth video on macroevolution, and I really just adapted that of slow step up. And then the other stuff, the stuff with the lions that I couldn't get the slides to work, that, I had everyone help me, Dapper came up with that basically. And
you're welcome.
I feel like I was able to put most of the stuff I had in there to good use. It was
I think it was a tight presentation because you only had 10 minutes to
do it.
10 minutes, that's beautiful. Yeah,
it was 10 minutes.
10 minutes
so it
is a tight operation to do, and to have those visual things, and the fact that you were drawing on recent technical materials, stuff that was only in the last 10 years, which means poor little bottom feeder trawling 2000s
Chicago
era,
conference,
1990s
1980.
era creationism,
Need a
he's going to
break.
be way behind you, and it showed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we'll go to TD Lane.
Yeah. Who's next?
Oh man, I have similar feelings about the algae stuff, where it was just like Kent was obviously just completely lost on it because everything Dan said went over his head. He ignored it, and finally he just moved the goalpost because he couldn't deal with it.
Admittedly, moved the goalpost is my favorite thing. He said, "I'm moving the goalpost." Like, okay, sure. That means I won, but okay.
It's dishonest.
Yeah.
And boy, it's a good sign Kent literally just failed miserably.
Oddly enough, though, it's not dishonestly moving the goalpost because he's admitting he's doing it. It's
dishonest tactics, but it's still like
basically
okay.
If you would
balls to admit it.
If you say I'm moving the goalpost, what you have just said is I have lost this debate, but now I would like to have a different one that I might win.
Right. It was great. He just straight up like, I just moved the goalpost. Like he did it, and then he realized he did it, and he said it out loud that he did it.
I tried to get back to origins or bust, but really that didn't quite work out for him.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
that made me happy.
One of the things is, even if all of life doesn't have a common ancestry, which means origin or bust doesn't matter, you could still. I don't know if there are any creationists in the chat, but sorry, but I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the thing is, macroevolution doesn't require common ancestry, right? Macroevolution could be true with like 4 or 5
even within created times, theoretically.
Right. It doesn't require universal common ancestry.
Right. It requires some level of it, but universal, no, that's fine. You can have 4 or 5 or whatever.
And I got the impression from it that Kent has no clue about where Answers in Genesis, how far out on the gangplank AIG has moved at the Ark encounter on transitional forms that they put on the Ark as the ancestral baraments. I don't think he has the tiniest idea of that.
They're already accepting that like Ambulocetus was a real thing that turned into a
Dinohippus.
The whole thing with where you were trying to get him to get to define what the barrier is and what a kind is. It was just like, oh wow. So your Kent says like, oh, it's if they can interbreed. He gives all the hybrid examples, and it's like that doesn't work though because you think Felis and Panthera are the same kind, but there's no hybridization between them. So
he tried to get around that by saying if they could hybridize in the past. And I let that slide because I had something else I wanted to talk about. I didn't have a lot of time and I didn't want to go down every rabbit hole. But the trick with that one is he said, well, if they could hybridize or if they could in the past. Now that gets at the same thing that he brings up because it's like, wait a minute, you love to say that, well, we can't tell if fossils had any kids. So how do you know if panthers and bobcats could hybridize in the past, right? You
I
can
was
that.
really
So
sketched out that he wouldn't even agree with that.
Hang on, there's one more thing. There's one more thing that I want to point out because we've had the conversation about this, and I'm so happy he brought it up when I was trying to get at the species definition, and he said, well, or the kind definition, and he said, you can't define species. Sure, fine. We've all had that conversation.
And the burden of proof is never on him.
It's
never going to be on him.
Right. Biology, species are artificial constructs. You don't need a specific definition for evolution to work. But for creationism to work, kinds have to be real, and I'm so
we're willing
happy.
to abandon species because it is a artificial human construct.
So
kind is a divine objective concept.
Yes, if they exist,
has to be real.
We've had that conversation.
And you can bet your Bippy that if Kent was familiar with the baraminology literature, he would have tried to deploy it, but he doesn't know diddly about that. And even if he did, there's only so far he could go because they stumble at the day. The fact that he made the mistake of bringing up bats, holy shit. There's been, you'll spot in the rocks were there, how we tear apart Wood's attempt to work out how many bat baramins there are.
Oh, yeah. And you did so well on that. And what I really loved was when you guys covered the in situ forests.
Yes, all Kurt Wise, with the little roots and all that crap. Yeah,
Kurt Wise. For those who don't know, Kurt Wise basically admitted that within at least the Jurassic, and he knew there were supposed examples from farther below in the geologic column than that. There are fossilized forests that look like they grew in place. So there is no chance in hell
had
that
been
they were
hit with like
transported in
pyroclastic
from
flows
somewhere
and
else.
such, and actually grew a bit after that. To boot.
Yes, they grew after they were partially buried. So he knows for certain that these fossilized forests never grew after they were transported in place. They had been growing in where they were from the beginning, and he knew that if these are real, then they restrict flood layers to below the Jurassic at the least, and he knew that there were examples of similar things from the Carboniferous downward to the Devonian.
All right,
But you were never going to bump into that, Dan.
Hold on a second. We got to get through a couple things, and then I want to make sure that TD Lane is good, and I want to move on to Erica. So one thing is, hey guys, I'm only seeing 11 likes and 40 viewers, so if you like this, go hit like. Come on, give me some help there.
I love you, Dapper. I'm just 12.
Okay. I just want to also say we're really close to getting my next emoji. So if you like things like the Kent,
come in.
I know. If you like things like the Kent Hovind emoji or the Dapper Dino emoji or the Top Hat emoji, feel free to join. Yep.
Literally, the second I unmute, my dogs are like gonna go.
That's fine. That's okay.
There is no dog.
So the last thing we need to get to before I want to make sure that TD Lane is good and we move on to Erica is we have a $4.99 US super chat from Vandalia 1998 who says it's not moving the goalposts, it's changing the game entirely when you know you're losing. I mean, to some extent, yeah. I mean, it's so TD Lane, did you have anything else that you want to say about how you thought the debate went?
It went very much good for Dan. Dan ruined Kent several times over. And pretty much one of the biggest notes in the kind thing is that when you accept that even one kind was that they can't, two different families or genus or anything that can't interbreed are the same kind, then you can apply that to rest of life. Because you can say, okay, so why can't felids interbreed with hyenas? Well, they had a common ancestor and they were able to hybridize at one point.
I should have done that. That's really, I should have done that. Darn it. Nice. I should have done that.
And they can't do anything to stop it because you're just using their logic against them.
Everyone has some regrets, Dan. I regret not pursuing Neff more on the issue of continental shelves.
And as Erica actually said in the chat, Colton, the floating forests.
Yeah.
That's more or less me.
Well, that's why all of these things are building processes. You do as well as you can, and then figure out how that can be used as a stepping stone to the next anvil.
Well, the floating forest thing is important because even Kurt Wise realizes that that's their last stand because ecological zonation, hydrological sorting, and differential escape just can't count for this. So it's either they were unique forest ecosystems, which is kind of a variation of ecological zonation to begin with. So I don't know why he's saying
stromatolites.
All right,
exactly.
I want to make sure, TD Lane, are you good with thoughts about the debate? Because we're going pretty far away from the debate.
More or less. That was more or less my thoughts.
All right, so Erica, actually, real quick, for $2 reduce from John Raff, I've heard enough to know, so I like. Oh, sorry, I know enough to know I like. So okay, and he's got a nice smiley emoji and a couple thumbs up.
Can I discuss something real quick, Dakota? Or Dapper? Can I discuss something real quick? Because I know
let's
it's like
let's get Erica in first.
Yeah, let's get Erica.
Erica. Yes,
Erica has been waiting very patiently.
You think I didn't notice that you were trying to absolutely poach my time?
Because you're a woman.
I didn't notice that. I've been waiting patiently. I finally got these dogs.
Family not understanding the black pill. John Maddox understands the black pill.
Yeah,
I think you might have to mute.
I'm sure to that entire gang, I am simply a duplicitous femoid. But yeah, Dan, I thought it was an absolute massacre. I mean, I only caught the second half because prior to that, I was like eating with my family, and then I was like, "Ooh, I forgot this! Like, I forgot this debate is like literally going on right now." So I jumped in as fast as I could, and I was just in time to see you present that excellent multicellularity paper. And I don't know if anybody here happens to remember this, but when I debated Kent Hovind, I presented that exact same paper. So I know for a fact that he knows about that paper. And he literally asked the exact same question to Dan that he asked to me. And when that happened, I was like, can I say, I can curse a little, right, Dapper?
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah, anyways, I said, holy shit, are you kidding me? This is the same paper. There's no way he's like, and that's when I became a little bit concerned for Kent's health, because I was like, I know for a fact, like, I get he has a lot of debates, whatever, but he was so shocked in our conversation.
He's never read it. He never read it.
Bring it up either. Yeah, I think someone else brought it up before me too. So he's seen this paper at the very least twice, probably more than that, and still lacks a response to it, and is seemingly surprised every time it's presented to him. So I was like, oh my God. And then I realized too, Dan, I'm not sure, I mean, I'm sure you realized this. I bet it was just as rampant in the first half, but you really know you've got Kent on the ropes when he stops making any kind of a semblance of an argument and goes straight for the analogies, which is the only place he's comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, it was an absolute annihilation. I mean, I wonder what kind of incredible Olympic level mental gymnastics that would have to go on for what I am sure in the other after show is being perceived as a flawless victory. Yeah.
Yeah, so can I say I was super surprised that he was so interested in that multicellular thing, because that paper is not super complicated. It's
also not that new.
No, it was beautiful.
Was it 2017?
Yeah, 2018.
I forget off the top of my head.
My only comment is to make sure you do not fall into the damn trap of that's not
Heron 2019. It was Heron 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a year old. It's not a
because
new
right, but you got to think in terms of Kent's.
Our subreddit had our whole boxing match over this, right?
Yeah, right. We
that
did this
was
already.
Like, oh well, that's not close enough because that doesn't count. And they never specified a reason. Each user on /r/creation had a different reason for why it wasn't valid. Now, if I can go so far as to use reasoning from Russell Humphreys of the ICR Rate Project, if all these criticisms were correct, why don't they have the same reasoning? Because Russell Humphreys used that exact reasoning for saying each person who says accelerated decay isn't a thing says so because of different mechanisms. Well, let's use that for ours. Let's use that standard for ours. If Google SOAR says that your criticisms, Dan, aren't valid because of X, but then John Berea says that it's not valid because of Y, and Paul Douglas Price says because of Z, if they aren't confiding within each other, doesn't that show that there's a flaw in their perception, not ours? Right?
Yeah, if they're contradictory reasons for why it's wrong, then yes.
If they say, well, no, that doesn't mean that each of us are wrong, that just means that one of us is closer than the other, then they have to concede that the multiple criticisms of the Rate Project mean that at least one of them is closer to the truth than the other. And so creationists lose no matter what they do.
Colton, we will be taking them kicking and screaming down this entire way because no, it's okay. But what I was going to say, I hope Colton is getting some water. Are you getting water? Get water.
Yes.
Go get water.
I drank 2 bottles.
Get water.
Nani. Anyways, we're going to be pulling Kent and the like. Kicking and screaming down this because I was actually I don't know if anybody else got this, you guys probably did too, but when Kent finally came to terms with the fact that this paper really is all that Dan was saying it was, he resorted to, that's just microevolution. It's literally one of the biggest steps.
Can I ask one
in
question?
Evolution, single to multicellular.
Can I ask one question and then I'll leave to go get more water? Dakota tagged me in the side chat. Quote unquote Corporal Anon sniper lightning. Did Kent Hovind legitimately say that fossil forest fire deposits were the result of lightning drying out deposits?
I don't think Kent said that. I don't think he is even aware of the floating forest things.
So Dakota is referring to BRU 56U7.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I think he brought up lightning is the idea that if lightning struck your computer that was in Microsoft, it wouldn't suddenly turn to an Apple computer. That was the analogy, which is just as stupid.
Well, I will tell Kent Hovind then that clearly he has figured out how to turn off Microsoft updates because Microsoft updates fuck your computer more than a lightning strike.
Go get water. Go get water.
Go get water.
Go get water.
Yes, Daddy. Yes, Daddy Dan. I'll be right back.
Bringing up computers, is anyone like me that wants to stuff 8,000 Holorith cards up Kent Hovin's ass?
I'd like to toss them over
Dapper,
the...
mute everybody.
I want to toss them over the Dinosaur Adventurelands talk. Because honestly, that was something else.
Wait,
what
I
happened
missed that. What happened?
What happened?
PD? What happened?
I want to toss Ken Hovind over the dock at Dinosaur Adventurelands because he was just...
Yeah.
No, I want to hang on, I think I'm muted. No, I'm not. I just want to go back to our prep the other day because we did 2 prep sessions for this. I forget if one of them was private and the other one was public, but I know the one yesterday we were public for a little bit doing prep for this. And if anybody is watching this, I recommend you go back to the prep. You watch yesterday's prep, then the debate, then this. And like, if you got to do it on like double speed, like do it on, but like, because you can see how it came together. You can see there are specific, and I went through my whole opening in that prep, and you could see how the opening I did yesterday was different from the one I did today. Not just because the PowerPoint effed up, but because it was like actually different. I changed things. I changed the order of things. And you could see how it came together and then how the stuff that we workshopped yesterday, how in real time, you're going to futz around with it and you're going to change the order and you're going to take this piece that you kind of build like a module and you're like, okay, we're going to go through this. You can take a piece of that and you can stick together with this other thing and make an argument work. And like, I think this is a really good example of that because we did the prep yesterday specifically with the slides. And then I tweaked them and now we have them again and you could see the differences just in about a 24-hour span. So if anyone's interested in that, a lot of the credit for that goes to this group of people right here who were workshopping those with me. And
rehearsal never hurts.
Yeah. And I also want to point out that we've been trying to switch to not entirely live, but primarily live debate prep. And one of the reasons for that is it doesn't matter. We can show our hand. It absolutely does not matter. Because 1, the creationists aren't going to check out the debate prep. And 2, even if they do, the sources are on the side of actual science.
Well, I can confirm that with my debate. With my debate with Kent, I made a point of alerting him that I was going to bring up his statements on Archaeopteryx and Harun Yahya. I went out of my way to alert that to him weeks in advance, and didn't do any good even then. He didn't pay attention to it.
No, because there are very few creationists that don't stick to a script. Most of them have a script. It's the things, and for most of them, this is not the case for Kent, but for most of them, it's the things about which they know the most big words, and that's what they stick to.
Oh yeah, standing for truth is that way. He's a word lover.
Right, and they generally do not have any actual conceptual understanding of these fields. They just have sound bites that they've memorized that sound good. Like, they'll rattle off things like ALU and retrotransposon and ERV and functional region, but there doesn't seem to actually be an understanding of the concepts underlying that.
I have a meme for
Dan,
this.
who is a professor.
I couldn't get my phone to work, but I'm going to just turn myself off now, so I'm sorry.
I said I have a meme for this. Of course I do.
Brandon,
I got this yesterday.
Oh, listen.
Oh, hold on. We have to stop the screen share so we can make sure that everyone can see.
Yeah, we got to see that.
So I got this yesterday.
Listen, Dan, before you start, yep.
Okay. Just not. Okay.
It's comic books thicker than that.
I read it.
Who's the author of that?
Listen, SFT.
Oh, that's his little. It's not quite as thick as mine.
Could we show some of the beautiful formatting?
You just pick a page,
The absolutely wonderful. This is one of the best looking main texts of any book that you guys are ever going to see. It's amazing.
Well, listen, may I briefly speak of the text of his that I have finished reading and annotating, which would be his Human Evolution one, which, by the way, I'm starting a series on hopefully tomorrow, but we'll see. Anyways,
with the hyperlinks.
The text was surprisingly large. The font was surprisingly large when I cracked it open. I was not expecting it. It's just larger font than I'm used to.
Hyperlinks. It's a printed book.
It's not only hyperlinks, but it's hyperlinks that trail off because there wasn't enough room. You can't even type in the hyperlink.
The page numbers, guys.
It's because he's
numbers.
copied in text
over here
the material from a screen and never bothered to translate it into a meaningful context.
So here's part of the thing. It can't even just be a copy paste, right? Because if you copy pasted a hyperlink into an actual like publishing software, like if you were making that to go into the trouble of actually taking your text and putting it into publishing software that allows you to format a book properly, it should expand the hyperlink away from its truncated form, because
unless
the truncated
it was copied from something that had already disabled it.
Well, yeah, if his hyperlink is actually broken in the original, then that could be. I doubt that's the case, because these were originally Google documents, right? And the formatting has not changed from the Google documents, nor has the pagination, as far as I can tell. What that means is these are screenshots, essentially. These are screen grabs of his Google Docs that he just slapped onto paper. And, yeah, also John Rapp says, Dapper Dino, how ironic is it that fools can make a living spouting derp and smart, educated people toil hard to get by? Yeah, there are times when I'm like, I could just
This is a book.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, I was about to actually...
Hey, Dapper, I think I'm still big.
Yeah, you are. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Big.
That's Evolution Slam Dunk and Rocks were there side by side.
Yeah.
300-page difference between the two.
Now, RJ, I don't remember. Actually, I have to unpin you. How do I... What is the... Oh, there it is. Unpin video. Why is TD Lane now big? Goodness.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm seeing you now.
Oh, I want to go to gallery view. That's what the problem is. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So I want to ask RJ a quick question. On your book and the book that you co-authored with Jackson Wheat, are the odd numbered page numbers on the bottom left or the bottom right near the spine?
Oh, good. Great of them to see. I think I structured it.
Oh, they're in the middle.
I put them in the middle.
That's a pretty good option.
I didn't want to have to bother. Although you can format page numbers to do all of that, I was just lazy.
That's
and
fair.
Much rather just putting the ones in the middle, and that simplified it.
Hey, that works for me. The middle is nice. The spine is an odd choice.
You do have options to be able to paginate them in even in odd pages, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but you wouldn't put everything on the bottom right, right?
No, but if you're an idiot, you can do that. Does it have Dan? Does his book have an index? No.
I will,
and like no reference bibliography.
In the interest of criticizing the work itself, it is lacking in content. It's a lot of assertions and not a lot of evidence to support them. I read it this morning in approximately an hour, like annotating.
Same, Dan.
And we'll, I fully intend to talk about it at some point. I want to do like a book review series. First Fish in the Barrel is going to be Jeanson replacing Darwin, but then we'll move on to some of this other stuff.
So if I were to summarize it as J. June hyperbolic twaddle, that would cover it.
I would call it standard creationist rhetoric without the refertions. Well, not references. They're just not like evidence to support the assertions.
I've seen a UN report where one of the references was a link to the author's C drive. So it's not just standing. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's just stupid people that don't.
See, what I'd be intrigued with is to know all of the sources that he cited, because that allows you to cross-compare his reference base with the creationist works that may offer clues as to who he's copying shit from.
I mean, yeah. The shame some of his sources are completely broken.
Oh, I mean, I've got a meme now, although I look not nearly as impressive as that little figure.
Yeah, so I would like to read a very quick excerpt from the one I have, which is in my hands, the ones that I'm done annotating, which is Why Human Evolution is False, the Scientific Case for Independent Origins, Has Ape-to-Man Evolution Been Overturned? And on page 57, which this tome also has kind of the page number deal where the odd page numbers are like on the inside, but I plan on coming down on this book kind of hard because of this line on page 57, which is, I challenge the proponent of evolution and universal common ancestry to refute the arguments and evidence presented in this chapter and in the entire book. And then at the very beginning, he also has, this book is extremely well sourced and the evidence is the best to date. I am no layman when I speak these things. This is Raw Matt's forward. So
Erica, we're essentially what you're promising is that we're doing a live stream of not necessarily copyrighted straight quote material, but we're going to do reviews in this group of standings books, right?
Well, so one thing is, even if it's copyright, which it is, because the U.S. law now allows you to just automatically have copyright, this is fair use. First of all, we're not reproducing the book. This is not a substitute for buying the book.
The only reason I ask about fair use is that I had been going the other month over with Kevin Hankey, the underwater landslides model that Michael Ord from Creation Mysteries International presented against the Ancient Ice Age. And in comparing his claims to Ord's, I tried to copy each of, and I think Dapper Dinosaurs tried to copy each of Ord's claims word for word, and then paste Hankey's responses against them so I could analyze them to the best of my ability.
Yeah, that's the method that I love to do, because
using my free thought. And
Standing
Hankey
will not
said,
have come up with these ideas on his own. He will have siphoned them from some secondary material. So
well,
I'm always wanting to know
leave Standing and Raw Mat out of it. I was just trying to figure out whether or not which one of them was accurate, because I didn't want to I didn't want to trust Hankey on word. I wanted to make sure he was saying things accurately.
Yeah.
And during the process of reviewing all of Hankey's essays, I caught a few errors which he quickly corrected, and I'm glad he did. And that's why I trust him so much.
Everybody can make mistakes.
Yes, but during that, and I only made his case stronger, but during that, I realized that I had copied so much of Standing's material to copy Hankey's mistakes that I might be running into copyright territory. Well, so Hankey warned me against not copying him word for word. So I'm trying to learn how to paraphrase, essentially, to make sure that none of us get in trouble with copying Standing.
Well, one question I had is, was this for personal use, or are you planning to publish this?
This was personal use.
If it's personal use, it's essentially impossible to violate copyright law.
Right, and I understand that. Yeah. I was trying not to make sure that, like, let's say let's say Dapper and I get into a conversation of, do the ancient ice ages from the Ordovician invalidate younger creation? Let's say we get into that talk, and I have to bring up Ord. And not only do I have to bring up Ord's quotes, but I have to bring up Standing quoting Ord. Either of them could sue me based on how I've copied their notes into my document.
Okay, so
I have to be careful with how I paraphrase them.
So, first of all, none of this is legal advice. If you need legal advice, seek out a licensed attorney in your area. But here is what I'm saying. Generally, as someone who has to worry about fair use, I've done some reading here. So some rules of thumb that you want to follow as just a content creator or someone who's speaking publicly and doesn't want to get sued. So the big things that courts look at for copyright violation are, now, one of them is, do you have legitimate access to have these things? Were you given or do you own a copy of the work, or did you access it legally? Because if you didn't, then
I bought it. Yes.
Then okay.
I bought the copies of the work.
Now, once you own a copy of a work, you can make as many copies as you like for your own personal use. Now, that means that you can't get in trouble simply for having this document, right? Like, if you want to transcribe,
let me explain. So, Michael Ord's original document, which was his 1997 work saying ancient ice ages or gigantic submarine landslides, where he was trying to dismiss the idea that Snowball Earth or the Ordovician ice age or the Carboniferous ice age ever happened. He was relying on a 1970 scientist saying they may be underwater landslide deposits, not glacial tilts. Now, that has been disproven, but Ord's book from the 1970s is still a real thing. And as of 2009, at least from a book I rented for free at my library, says that is still Ord's hypothesis.
All right.
So I'm not trying in my notes to quote Ord word for word.
Okay.
But I am paraphrasing him. I'm afraid of legal trouble if I ever publish.
So first of all, I would recommend that you not publish the entirety of your notes. However,
Correct.
you are allowed to quote even sometimes fairly substantial sections of other works, provided that there's a few things. One is, so what do courts look for? The biggest one they look for is it transformative? Is the purpose of your quotation something other than just giving people access to the copyrighted material? So, for instance, the biggest things.
Hold on. Pause real fast because I gotta bolt out of here.
Oh no!
Gotta wait for me. I know.
All right, bye, Erica.
Love you guys. Bye. Great job, Dan. You slayed it.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for all your help with the various preps. So thank you.
Hey man, no biggie. I'm always in for one of these. Also, yes, we need to do a book club.
Yeah, we need to do a book club, and we need to continue pressuring Standing
And
actually respond to us.
I desperately hope that any of these books talk about standing for truths and Ramat's bullshit claim, absolutely bullshit claim, that granite comes from a sedimentary clay instead of magmatic igneous rock.
I also have this one, and I don't know if there's geology in here, but we're going to.
Please tell me if this is.
If any therapsids, mammal stuff pops up, let me know.
In our Twitter conversation, we can decide which one we want to review.
Yeah.
All right, dudes.
What do you share? Okay. So the biggest thing is so transformative is the big thing. That's the strongest thing. If it's strongly transformative, then most other considerations aren't as important. So if it's for purposes of commentary, criticism, or parody, then that's okay. So that's one of the reasons why things like parodies of campaign posters of various candidates, they're allowed. So if you're publishing any kind of thing like that, like, okay, here's a response to here's a claim, here's a response to a claim, here's what I think about it, that's commentary. If it's criticism, like you post a claim that Standing makes, you criticize the claim, you try to defeat it, there you go. Other considerations are the degree to which you monetize it, although that's actually one of the smallest ones. Ultimately, you can monetize fair use. It's a very small consideration. If the only reason you're publishing this is just to get money and it's not very transformative, then the monetary thing can come in. The other one is the degree to which you use how much of the original work you use. If you just publish the whole thing contained in a big chunk in your book and you bookend it with your own stuff, it's not going to be okay. But on the other hand, if your work is substantial enough and it is critical enough, you can use significant portions of whatever the original material is. You usually can't entirely get away with doing the whole thing. But if it's a small enough work, you can. If someone publishes like a 2-minute video and you want to respond to it and you have the whole 2-minute video in there, well, how would you have responded to it without including essentially all of it? But you also want to make sure that it's not a stand-in for the original work. People cannot get the experience of the original work by looking at yours. Now, again, if you're really concerned...
So, I like this, but I think we should kind of wrap this up because we've kind of gone far afield from the debate.
So, what does everyone think is the most ridiculous or useless argument that Kent Hovind gave? I'm going to start with Deadly Dakota Raptor.
Well, I'm going to go with the obvious one because I'm first and I get to do that.
Fair enough.
There you go.
The multiple denial of multicellularity can't evolve, despite having been pointed out multiple times beforehand, multicellularity has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So, easy one is out.
Fair enough.
Y'all have to actually think about it for the future ones.
And please just skip over me because I'm trying to write a sentimental email to a scientist I talk to frequently. I'm not relevant.
Do that kind of thing in the morning.
Put heart emojis in.
Tonight.
No, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now, but when I'm not scared.
Write it tonight. Review it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
The heart emojis and oohs.
All right. Who's up next?
All right, that would actually be me. So, accepting Deadly Dakota Raptor is one. I think that possibly the most ridiculous and irrelevant argument that he made was trying, like I predicted he would do, going into the complete irrelevancy of a fictionalized biography of Charles Darwin in his opening. And as he did it, I was just saying, sure, Kent, waste your opening. No one's going to, I'm not going to complain. Dan's not going to complain. If you want to waste half the time that you have, feel free.
And by the way, thank you for that tip of writing down all the irrelevant stuff and starting by rattling all that stuff off. That was a great tip. So thank you for that, Dapper.
You were very welcome. And when I saw that you did it, I was just like, yes, exactly. That's the perfect response. Covert Cuttlefish, what do you got for us?
Yeah, Dan, good job not falling into his trap of following him down the rabbit holes. We've seen it happen time and time again by people who promised us it wouldn't, and good job there.
We would have held his feet to the fire if you had. That's the thing.
Yeah, you would have never heard the end of it. That's right.
We would have been nailing Dan to the cross, basically.
Oh, well, sorry. Keep going, Covert.
I was going to say, for everybody that wants to hang out at /r/debate evolution, it's a fun place to hang out. We've got the bingo cards posted for every Kent Hovind debate. Have a drink every time you cross them off, and you're going to end up like Corporal Adam by the end of the night. Sorry, buddy.
Don't say that I'm so sentimental. I love you all. You're all amazing.
Don't do that.
The Dapper Dino channel officially supports responsible alcohol use if you choose to engage in or indulge in alcohol.
It's not even about being drunk. It's just that you all are amazing people who are wonderfully educated, and everyone can learn something.
What's that I'm hearing?
Just to sum it up, great job, Dan.
All the members in chat start
spamming Godzilla? Too many people.
Hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, great job, Dan. You killed it. I think anyone that can't see that are delusional, but most creationists probably are delusional. So we'll leave it at that.
All right, and before we go to RJ, I want to read a super chat, which is from Ian Chen for $2.99 redues. 3 fake PhDs don't equal 1 Professor Dan. Agreed. I agreed. Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys know, but I've decided that since I've been emailed a very official-looking diploma with my name on it by someone else who doesn't have the authority to grant PhDs, that I'm going to start referring to myself on any platform that has Kent Hovind as Dr. Hovind as Dr. Dapper Dino.
Need you guys to
anyone who objects
for me after the stream's done.
Yeah, anyone who objects, I can just point out Bent Hovind University issued me with a postgraduate degree. And no, you can't see my thesis.
That was so there were a couple like in-jokes that I put in there, and that was one of them.
Oh,
that you can Google me and find my thesis.
Oh yeah, actually I did notice that. Now that you say that, actually that was one of the questions that TD Lane asked that didn't get answered because of course Standing decided to cherry pick the questions.
Of course.
Do them in order. Because one of them was to both. What was your thesis about, and where can we find it? Yeah.
The other joke like that was the SpongeBob thing, which I Dapper, you might have suggested that too, but put the SpongeBob or who was it?
I think it was me.
The imagination, because he loves to do the SpongeBob imagination thing. So put that in your opening and like cut that off. So yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Actually, one quick piece of advice I would have is if you're using the setup that you were using tonight, like tech wise, just don't ever try to start the slideshow. Just scroll through them in...
It's only on freaking Standing's channel, though, because I've done other streams on StreamYard, and it works fine.
Well, then perhaps just restrict it to Standing's channel.
We have a $2 super chat from Bent.
I will note.
$2 super chat from Bent Hovind, no relation. You're welcome, Godzilla.
Yes.
I will note on my end alone, I have seen Dan and everyone else freeze up. Now, that might be my internet connection issue and not everyone else.
Demons.
I saw a little bit of buffering.
It is there. It is there. So let's not entirely trash Standing and
I'm not
FHT. Maybe there's some issues going on there.
Yeah, I'm not positive that it's an intentional thing. I would just say...
I'm just going to go through the slides.
Well, I would have a couple of things.
Correct.
One is I would have the watch channel, or if you can, even just have it up on like a phone separate, like muted or something, and look at your as you're going through your first few slides, look at them, and if they're not updating, call it. Say, hold up, just pause the time. We need to figure this out. And actually, I would say request to get some time back. I'm saying money because I'm about to read a super chat for $2 reduce from John Rapp. Kent's 8,769 wrongs don't make a right, Doc Dino. Awesome. Thank you, John Rapp.
Who are we up to?
RJ, you are up next.
Arguments.
Yeah. Everybody stole my thunder on the big hits of stupid. I would put multicellularity right up there at the top. But if I can come in with a caboose, the fact that when you were trying to get him to effectively apply the systematics that he doesn't have, that he doesn't know anything beyond dogs and cats and horses and the very farmyard animals that he might see at his creation museum. That's about as far as it goes, to where he was to the point of saying, well, I don't have a burden to prove anything. Well, because you ain't gonna.
Yeah, basically, if Kent Hovind, if there isn't a simple English word that is essentially unanalyzable, Kent Hovind doesn't know about it. So he might know about like dogs, but he's not going to know about the maned wolf or the painted dog. We might know about jackals. So yeah, basically, as a rule of thumb, and I can't say it's always true because he probably knows about hummingbirds and butterflies, which are analyzable words. He probably, and by simple and unanalyzable, I mean you can't break the word into other components that are themselves English words. So if that's the kind of animal it is, like horse, fly, squirrel, then yeah, he knows what it is. Other than that,
remember, Kent does not proofread his own stuff. I noticed that when I was criticizing him, where he was copying stuff from Harun Yahya, where he was riffing off of Alan Fiducia as copied by Harun Yahya. And there were technical names that were, it was so already tertiary, but there were sections of the quotes that referred to lacustrine and also some scientist names, I think Dr. Wu or Wang or something. And he stumbled over how to pronounce them, even though he had typed them into his PowerPoint himself, because I asked him, which meant that he never tried to find out how to pronounce the words and was then stumbling over them again when he read them alive on his show. So that's always a limitation of Kent. He's really a lazy bastard.
So before we get to Dan, I also have another super chat, which thank you very much. You guys are being very generous.
I'll be right back. Right back.
Okay, well, we'll skip to... Corporal's Anon said to skip him, so we'll go to TD Lane, then we'll come back to Dan. So for $5 from Speed of Sound of Gravity, thank you very much, Speed of Sound of Gravity. This is US, by the way. Judging from how hard Team Mad Ox, and it's Mad Ox there, 2 words, is trying to debunk feathers, I would say that one item is a feather in Dan's cap, and I would agree. And then we have another $5.
Yeah, that was another good graphic that he put out.
Oh yeah, I mean the feathers on crocodilians. I mean, it's just like what else do you want?
And remember, those are experimental. They're not just peripheral. They're actually experimenting with the substructure in the genes.
And they even addressed that.
Oh no,
completely. He didn't address most
skirted right over it. Also, if I don't have it, I want that paper. So.
Well, that's the one I linked. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I know Jackson and I cited a bunch of it in the rocks were there. There's Oftedal or some such.
I might even just be able to Google it too. But we also have another $5.
There's been an awful lot of work on the subject by a bunch of different scientist teams over the last decade, where they've been experimenting in a variety of things with archosaurs and crocodiles specifically, and chicken, where they're working on the genes and generating stuff from the scutellum. And it all goes back to the placode level, which is where the forms of feathers and hair both emerge from that.
I'll wait then.
Okay. So we also have another $5 super chat. Welcome back. We have a $5 super chat from Atheist Linguist. He says, I'm not sure if you know who I'm talking about, but I have to ask, whose quote thesis is worse? Whose thesis do you think is worse? Kent Hovind or Anthony Riley? Oh, Anthony Riley. Oof.
I don't think I've seen Riley's.
I think it's Riley. So do you guys know who Anthony Riley is? He's a flat earther who tried to write a legal thesis claiming that teaching the sphericity of the Earth goes against some British law requiring that education be nonpartisan.
I have like 2 minutes.
Okay. So Dan, that means we're gonna go to you real quick, and then how long have we been going? We might just call after we get to TD Lane. I mean that's pretty good. We're not gonna do a 12-hour after show like some folks might. Mostly because
you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't know who you're talking about.
So Dan, what do you think was the stupidest or most irrelevant thing that happened?
My favorite, I think, was when he said you can't get, and this was after we had talked about a bunch of different things, and he said you can't get pink flying dogs. You cannot evolve. You can evolve this. You can evolve that. You can't evolve pink flying dogs. But I was able to say no. But you can evolve green photosynthetic salamanders.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Or a dog the size of Texas. That was one of my favorites.
Oh man. Well, so one of the things that I would say is like, could you actually evolve a flying dog? I don't think you could do it in any short period of time. But I actually, I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, Dan,
exactly.
you're muted.
It would be a quadrupedal. It would use a membrane or some such thing. It won't have Pegasus wings sprouting out because there ain't no hexapodal vertebrates.
Yeah, by the way, Dan, you're muted if you wanted to say something. Okay, so Corporal Anod asked to be skipped, which, that's fair. T. Lane, your go.
Yeah, the stupidest thing in that debate, other than what was mentioned, it was definitely what Dakota mentioned at the beginning, which was the really bad thing Kent did by ignoring what Dan was saying, basically. Other than that, for me, it's how when he tried to apply kinds, he kind of just applied it in a way where he was completely inconsistent. And if you actually applied his logic, you could make all of life one kind.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, I think we're probably going to wrap up the live portion of this talk. We might say a few words to each other off air for a bit, but, you know, I've already done just over 3 hours of content on the channel, which is an unusual amount. So, you have had
3 hours midnight, and Corporal Anon is pickled.
Yeah. So, thank you very much. I just have a few closing things. One is I am going to be getting links to channels in here. I know RJ has a channel, TD Lane has a channel, Dan has a channel. Dakota, do you have a channel?
Only in technicality, you don't need to link mine.
All right, so I'll link the original debate. I'm sorry that it wasn't in there initially. It's just that this was very spur of the moment. It was like, hey, let's go live, and about 5 minutes later, we were live. So, fortunately, I already had a fairly decent thumbnail. So, but I will suggest
linked in the chat, by the way.
Yes, I will suggest
anybody that wants to check them out,
come back later and check out the links and subscribe to each of these guys if you're not already.
Yeah,
Dan
and as a
kicks
note,
butt.
If you don't want to support SFT and you don't want to watch the debate on his channel, Dan should be able to get the debate mirrored in a day or two.
So when that happens, I will consult with Dan and I will follow his suggestion, but I will either also link the debate there or I'll just replace the debate link. He can make that choice. So the other things I would say is, hey, if you aren't subscribed to me, go ahead and do that. I pretty much have a video out 3 times a week. It's usually Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. This week it's going to be Sunday, so I'm going to be having a talk with Mr. Batman, which is going to be interesting, and we'll have to do some debate prep for that, by the way. So yeah, that'll be a thing. That'll be Sunday at 12:30 Pacific. Sorry, 3:30 Eastern. So yeah, it's gonna be on. We're gonna bring it to the dinosaurs thing. Although Mr. Batman is gonna go straight to abiogenesis, but I have a plan for that. So, the only other things I can say is, hey, if I have a speculative evolution project and I stream fairly frequently, my actual art process of creating in 3D the 3D models that I use for the pictures. So if you're interested in seeing some art streams and hanging out while I basically doodle in 3D, come on by. It's on my off-topic channel, which you can find linked on my channel page. You might be able to find it linked in the description. I don't know. But that's it, I think. I want to thank especially all of our super chatters. So we've got TD Lane, Mothra J Disco, Damage262, Vandalia 1998, Zach, like I said, Zach Brannigan. I always get that wrong. John Rapp, Ian Chen, Bent Hovind, Speed of Sound, and Atheist Linguist. So thank you very much, guys. I will talk to you later, at least Sunday.